Hi, good evening, good afternoon. Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. If you can hear me, please type in the comment box that you can hear me. All right, so you can hear me, all right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We have 3 people here already. We have Peace, we have Balkis, and we have Oluwasei Babatunde. I believe you can see me too. Okay, good afternoon. How's been your Saturday? Okay, so more people are joining. How has been your Saturday? So you can type in the comment box how the day is going, how the weekend has been. Yes, so far. So I would like to see in the comment box how. Let's chat a little bit before we have our speaker join us. I can see Peace. Okay, I can see Fumilayo. I can see Elizabeth. All right. So just quickly type in the comment box how your Saturday has been going. Okay, Prince said it's going well. That's good to know. Mine is going well as well. Okay, Oluwaseyin said fine. Okay. So you can just go and drag somebody, call your friends that are supposed to be here and that are not here. Please call them so that they can join. So when we have a reasonable number of people here, we can start. So go and call them sharp, sharp, sharp. Okay, Precious said pretty good. That's good to know. So tap someone, let them join the class so that we can start as soon as possible. We are waiting. Okay, so some of you who were at the last class, we learned about digital marketing and um digital marketing and personal branding. So today is going to be, it's supposed to be better and better, but so today will be better than last week. But each class has its own significance. So please come prepared, come with your questions, and come with an open mind. Eyimofe said the link worked once today. Okay, I'm glad it worked once. Okay, so please just tap someone who is supposed to be here and are not here. Okay, so you can also share what you learned last week and you have implemented or you are implementing in your business or you started implementing in your business. So you can share in the comment box what stood out for you in the last class and how you have implemented it in your business. So we can do that in the next 1 minute and then we start today's class. So share with us what stood out for you in the last class and how you have been implementing it in your business. Good afternoon, Joshua. So I'm waiting for your comments. Share with us what stood out for you in the last class and how you have been implementing it in your business. Okay. So sorry about that. Okay, P said she has been working on the personal branding. All right, good to know. So you have been branding yourself personally. It would be good to know how you have been doing that. Okay, P said she has been building a consistent brand, personal brand that will stand out. Okay, that's good to know. I'm glad you have been building a consistent brand. Oluwaseyi said he learned about brand marketing. I used I used the Google Business platform to advertise my business to a more global audience. So have you got so this question is for Oluwaseyi. So have you gotten more customers by doing that? This Google Business platform that you have created. So do you think it has gotten you more customers, or even if it's one person, do you think it has increased your customer base? So that's the question for you. Good afternoon, Nasser. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name very well. Good afternoon, Jim Pat. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be bringing the speaker in very soon, and then we can start today's class. So I'm going to read a profile of the speaker once she joins us. So the speaker is here, so she'll be joining us soon. So our speaker for today will be speaking to us on bookkeeping, how to keep your record in your business. So her name is Kifayah Akinola. So I'm going to read her profile and then she would take over from there. So Kifayah is a data entry specialist who teaches and provides business owner with bookkeeping services that makes it easier for them to track their sales, expenses, and monthly profit. She is a graduate of economics from Olabisi Onabanjo University. She is also married and a mom of two. Kifaya was trained in data entry bookkeeping skills by Accounting Hub, which is a topmost accounting firm in Nigeria. So she's going to be joining us now, and we can give her a warm welcome, and then we'll start the class.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me well. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. So, in this webinar, I'm going to be taking you through everything you need to know about bookkeeping. I can see the comments. Okay, from YouTube. Everything you need to know about bookkeeping. Okay, so right from the beginning, what bookkeeping is, how to record your sales, how to record your expenses, everything you need to know, how to record your purchases, how to calculate your profit or loss every month, right? So what's her name? Okay, please, next slide, please. Okay, thank you. Okay, so a brief introduction about me. My name is Akinola Kifayah. I am a data entry specialist and I help small businesses with bookkeeping. Teach them how to do bookkeeping for their business the correct way. I was trained by an accounting hub. This is an accounting firm in Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. And I was trained on how to do data entry and how to do bookkeeping for small businesses. Right? So please, the next slide. So what you'll be learning today, number one, you'll be learning how to record your sales, how to record your expenses correctly, how to record your purchases, and how to calculate your profit or loss. So there are a lot of mistakes that we make when we are doing these things. So many business owners feel like these things are easy, something that should be just for me to write my sales and write my expenses. There is no big deal. What's there that I don't know? I'm going to be breaking a lot of tables today, and I'm going to be showing you so many mistakes that you make when you are making all these records, when you are writing them down. And then, of course, I'm going to be showing you how to do them correctly, right? So let's get started. Please, next slide. The next slide, please. Okay, so how do you record your sales? Right? So when you are recording your sales, the first thing you want to take note is you want to record the date the sale occurred. Right? So if a sale occurred today and you are just writing it down tomorrow, the best thing for you to do is to write down the exact date that the sale occurred. Right? The second thing you want to note down is the name of the customer, the quantity of the product that was bought, the amount, the total, and the method of payment. Now, the reason we are writing down the name of the customer is so we, at the end of the year or at the end of a quarter, you might want to do customer loyalty programs. That is the essence of writing the customer name. Right? So if you have not been keeping track of the customers that have been buying from you, how do you know the number of customers that the person who have bought from you the most in a year? So how do you know the kind of customer you want to reward at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, or anyhow you do it for your business? Right? So it's important for you to write down the name of the customer, the quantity the customer bought, the amount, the total. So the amount and total will help you when you are calculating your total sales for the month. And then you also write down the method of payment. So it will be easy for you to track where the money is. You want to know if the money should be with you in cash or if the money should be in your bank account. Right? So that's why it's important for you to write the method of payment. So the total and the amount of the amount will be the price per product. That's what you write under the amount. Then when you're writing the total, it will be the price per product multiplied by the quantity that was bought. Then you sum it up to get your total. Okay, so there are important things for you to note when you are recording your sale. This is where the mistake come from. So the first thing is that you should understand that revenue is earned. Revenue is also the same thing as sales, right? Revenue is also the same thing as sales. So when we say revenue, we mean the total amount of money that you have made in sales. Okay, so revenue is earned. What do I mean by revenue is earned? It means that you only record the sales that was made, the sales that you have made in a month. Okay, so if for example in February you sold to Mr. Bello 5 pieces of shoe in February, but Mr. Bello did not pay you until March, that revenue has been earned in February, whether Mr. Bello paid you or not. So revenue is earned. Whether the customer pays you or not, you are supposed to record it. Right? Whether the customer pays you or not, you are supposed to record it. So like the example that I gave, if you sell anything in a month, we are in the month of May presently, and you sold something to a customer in this month. A customer walks into your shop and the customer bought something for you, but the customer is yet to pay you, right? And even if the customer pays you next year January, that sale should be recorded for May this year. So when you are calculating your total sales for this month, you are going to calculate that goods that the customer has collected. The only thing you will need to do is to have a separate book or a separate way for you to track your debtors, those that are still owing you. Right? So you might have a separate way to track those that are still owing you, but you should record the sale immediately the customer take the goods away from your store. Right? So that's the same. The other thing I wrote is it should be captured monthly. So revenue should be captured monthly. This also applies to service-based businesses. It happens to them a lot. A situation whereby a customer pays you for a service, for 3 months service. I, as a bookkeeper, I work with business owners and I help them keep their records. Now, for example, a customer might pay me for 3 months, for May, June, and July. Right? The customer might pay me for May, June, and July. You should know that I've not done the work for June. I've not done the work for July, but the customer has already paid me. In that situation, I'm going to divide that revenue into those 3 months. Give May its own revenue, give June its own revenue, and give July its own revenue. Okay, so you should not combine the total revenue for different months into 1 month. So revenue should be captured monthly, and revenue is also earned, which means that you record a sale immediately the goods has left your store, whether the customer has paid for it or not. Please tell me in the chat if you understand what I have just explained concerning how to record your sales, revenue being earned, and again how to capture your sales monthly. Please tell me in the comments. I want to know if you are following me. Okay. Okay, you understand, Prince. Thank you. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. I'm glad that you guys understand. So you break your revenue down. Don't put all your revenue for 1 month into a particular month. And again, you should also understand that revenue is earned, right? Now, the next thing, please, the next slide. The next thing I'll be, I think I put up a table. The next slide, please. Okay, yeah, I have this is a table that you can use. You can take a screenshot of this table so that when you want to draw up a table for you to use, if you are using manual bookkeeping, right? So you can just draw it this way to say that date, the customer name, the item name, quantity, the units, price, total, and then the payment method. Okay, I guess with this table you will have better understanding, right? So you can just take a screenshot, and this could be like a guide for you. The next slide, please. Okay, so aside from keeping a daily record, that is every day when you make sales, you write it down. You should also have a monthly summary of everything that was sold on each day. So at the end of the month, you should do a summary. Look at all the records on the 1st of May. How much did I make throughout the 1st of May? Okay. Someone is asking a question. Okay, let me just quickly explain. But any question we have aside this, please help me take note of those questions, or probably you write them down somewhere so that at the end of the section I can tackle them, will not be interrupting this section. Right, so let me just quickly answer this one, but after this one, please note down your questions. I'll be glad. I will explain everything to you at the end of the section. So the question says, can you give more light on the revenue being captured monthly, ma? So what I said was, if you have a customer that pays you ahead, and I said that this mostly happens to service-based businesses. I don't know if you have any service-based businesses in the class here, but it happens mostly to service-based business, whereby a customer pays you ahead, overpayment, right? It's called overpayment. Now, we are in May. The service that I have not yet rendered, this customer has paid for it. Sometimes it happens to product-based business too. The customer wants 5 bags, but the customer has paid for, 10 bags. But the customer only took 2 bags from you. When you have overpayments like that, you don't record them together in 1 month. So I used an example of myself. I said I am a bookkeeper and I keep records for businesses, right? So in a situation whereby a customer pays me for 3 months ahead, we're in May, the customer pays me for May, June, and July, right? So let's say I charge 50K per month. In May, the customer pays me 150,000 naira. That's for 3 months. So in May, I will record 50K for sales of May. I'll record 50K for sales of June, and I'll record 50K for sales of July. It can also happen to dry cleaning business. If a dry cleaner and you have a customer that pay that you do dry cleaning for every month, and the customer says, do you know what, just take this money for 3 months of dry cleaning. So for the next 3 months, I'm not going to pay you. Just come to carry my clothes and do dry cleaning for me. In this kind of situation, that money that customer has paid you, don't dump it into that month that I made sales 600k. No, you divide it into those number of months that the customer has paid for. So let's say 200k. That's 100k now. Will be 200k for 3 months. Do you understand now? And Gen part. Do you understand now? Can we move on? Okay, so I was explaining how to capture your monthly sales. So at the end of the month, you put together all your daily sales, right? So January 1st, how much did I make on January 1st? You write it down. You look at the daily records that you have written, and then you add everything together to give you a summary. On January 2nd, how much did I make? On January 3rd, how much did I make? So that will give you like a monthly summary of all the amount of money that you have made in that month. So it's easy for you to track. So if there is any discrepancies, you can quickly go to your book and say, on the 1st of January, how much did we make? But I'm seeing this amount of money. Do you understand? In case you need to check for discrepancies. So it is very, very important. Please, the next slide. So you can also take a screenshot of that table for you to use as a guide, right? Now, so the next thing we want to talk about is how to record your expenses. So when you are drawing a table together to write down your expenses, you should take note of these important things. You want to write the date the expense was made. The second thing is the method of payment. So as you're writing method of payments in sales, write method of payments in expenses too, so that there is check and balances, right? So if you know that a particular money came in through sales, through bank transfer, and some amount of money also went out through bank transfer, so you know the amount of money you are supposed to have left in your bank account, right? So payment method is very important. The amount of money that left the business too is very, very important. Then expense categories just put together different expenses and then categorize them under one umbrella. So for example, now we have rent. Rent is an expense category. So any amount of money that you spend in renting a space for your business, everything will be categorized under rent. So after paying for the main rent, probably you paid commission, different kind of commission, you paid for water, you paid for this under rent. Everything should be classified under rent. So there's electricity too. There is water. I'm going to be showing you, I think I wrote like 20 expense categories on the slide. So I'll show you shortly when we get there. Okay. So then description, expense description. You explain what you use the money for. Aside from you categorizing it, you explain, especially in some tricky expenses that if you don't write what you use the money for, in the future you'll be confused, you will not understand. Because the essence of all this bookkeeping is for you to use them to make decisions, right? So in the future you still go back to all of these things, so you want to write it in a way that you would have understanding of what you are writing, right? So note down these 5 things. It's very important when you are recording your expenses: the date, the payment method, the amount, expense category, and expense description. Now, other things to note: number one is that expenses are incurred. Just like revenue is earned, expenses are also incurred. That is the opposite. So like I said, that when you earn revenue, it means that whether the customer has paid or not, you have to record it. The same thing with expenses. You incur expenses, you don't have to necessarily pay for that expense before you record it. So if you tell someone to come and repair your table, after the person repairs, you told the person, come back, I'll pay you, and you did the repair in May, you should write it down immediately. Even if you did not pay the person until July, you have not paid for that expense until July, but you've incurred that expense already in May. So just as revenue is earned, expenses are also incurred, right? Now, the next thing is also that revenue expenses should also be captured monthly. The same thing with revenue. Expenses should also be captured monthly. So in situations whereby there are some expenses that you pay for a very long time, like rent. When you pay rent, you pay for a year. So when you want to record it, if for example this is May, and I paid rent for my store, right? And I want to record it. If I pay 600,000 naira for that rent, I'm not going to go to my book and write that expenses 600,000. No, you are over. You are inflating the expenses for that month if you do that. And when you calculate your profit, it's going to look as if you did not make any profit for that month. So you want to break down these expenses to the same way you break your revenue. You break it into the number of months that you have paid for. So if the rent you paid is for 12 months, you break it down into 12. If the rent you paid for is for 24 months, that is 2 years, you break the expenses down into 24, depending on the number of months or the number of years that you paid for. So other examples is data too. Some people buy data for 3 months. Some people buy, and instead of you recording that I bought data 30k for this month, no, probably it's 13k for each month, and the data will not expire until after 3 months. Another example is subscriptions. When you pay for example, if I pay for Canva, I'm paying for a year. When I pay for Zoom, I'm paying for a year. So whatever subscriptions that you're also paying for, you have to break it down into monthly expense. Please, are you guys following? Are you guys following? Should we move on? Okay, thank you very much, Jen Pat. Thank you very much. Please, can you give me examples of other expenses that should be captured monthly? Examples of other expenses that should be captured monthly. Can you think of any? Okay, let me see. Packaging materials, yes. Fuel cost. Some people buy fuel in bulk. So you have to break it down into the amount of ones that you use in that month. Stickers, yes. Some people will buy 1,000 pieces of sticker, and you will not finish using that 1,000 pieces in that month. Don't just dump everything into 1 month. No. Right? So please, the next slide. Okay, yeah, these are all the expense category. I think we have 20 here. You can take a screenshot. Rent, repairs and maintenance, salaries and wages, IT and internet, transportation, meals and entertainment, fuel and diesel, bank charges, depreciation expense, electricity, printing and stationery, telephone expense, subscription, service charge, security, water. So you can take a screenshot and use them whenever you are recording your expenses. Okay, I think that should be, everybody should have taken screenshots by now. So let's move on. Okay, so how to record your purchases. Okay, so number one, what is purchases? A lot of business owners confuse purchases and expenses, right? So this is the reason why I have to talk about this. You confuse your purchases and your expenses. Now, the difference between the two is purchases are when you buy things that will still bring in money for your business. That is like the summary. Anything that will still bring in money for your business is a purchases. So for example, if you buy raw materials, if for example you make hair products and you go to the market to buy ingredients that you want to use in producing your hair products, the things that you bought, those raw materials, they are not expenses. Don't go home and go and record I spent so money. No, those things are purchases, because you are still going to use those things to do production, and you are still going to sell those things to bring in money back for the business, right? So purchases is different from expenses. Expenses are those things that once you spend the money, it's not coming back into the business again. The money is gone. So when you pay for electricity, yeah, it's not as if you want to resell that electricity. You are going to use it up and then pay for another one. So when you pay for water, you use up the water and then you pay for another one. When you pay for rent, you use up your rent expenses and then you pay for another one. But when you buy raw materials, for example, you are going to sell, you are going to use those things that you bought you are going to use them for production and sell again. The same thing applies to if you are doing buying and selling, right? So if you go to the market, if you sell bags, for example, and then you buy a new set of bags, that is not expense, that is purchases. Okay, so purchases is different from expenses. So how do you record your purchases? How do you record your purchases? You don't record your purchases inside your sale, and you don't record it inside your expenses. You record it in a separate book showing the amount of money that was bought. I will have pinpointed the steps. I think I forgot. So you write down the date, the name of the product that was bought, the quantity of that product. Please write them down. Good, thank you very much, Eyimofe. So you write them down. Write it down. The name of the product that was bought, the date that you purchased the product, right? The name, the date, the amount of the quantity of products that was bought, and the amount per unit, and then the total amount, right? So if you bought 20 pieces of Louis Vuitton bag, for example, on the 15th of May, so you write 15th of May, the name of the product is Louis Vuitton bag. How many quantity did you buy? You bought 15. How much is one Louis Vuitton bag? Let's say 15K. So the total would be 15K multiplied by the number of bags that you bought. Okay, so I hope you've gotten that: the name, the quantity, the amount, the price per unit, and then the total. So next slide, let's continue. Now, the main, how do you calculate your profit or loss at the end of the month? How do you calculate your profit or loss at the end of the month? So there are 5 elements to consider when you are calculating your profit or loss. Number 1, your total sales for the month. Number 2, the cost of the goods that you have sold. I'm going to explain everything one by one. Number 3 is your gross profit. Number 4, your operating expenses. And then number 5, your net profit. Right? So these are the 5 elements that you need to get your profit or loss for the month. Okay, so the next slide, let's start explaining. Now, the first thing you need is your total sales. This is the monetary value of products or services that you sold in a month, right? So I wrote an example that, let's say you made 600,000 naira in sales in a month. I think I've already explained everything that has to do with sales, how it should be recorded properly. Don't go and dump 4 months revenue inside 1 month, right? So I'm using an example. Let's say we made 600,000 naira in sales in the month of April. Now, for example, let's calculate our profit or loss for April. So 600,000 naira. The next slide. The next thing we want to see is the cost of goods sold. So the cost of goods sold is the cost of purchasing or producing the goods that you have sold in a particular month. So if in a particular month now you sell body cream, or let's say you sell bags. You sell bags, for example, and in a month you sold 50 pieces of that bag, or you sold 20 pieces of that bag. Now, if one bag costs you 10,000 naira, when you went to buy that bag, after you put cost of transportation, you put everything inside the money, the amount of money that you bought the bag, you see that, okay, this bag is costing me 10K, right? The cost of goods sold. Now, if you look at it, don't let that English confuse you. Just break it down inside your head. Cost of goods sold. That is the cost of the good that I have already sold. So even if you have 20 pieces of bag in your store and you sold only 5, when you are calculating your profit or loss, it is only the cost of 5 that you will use. Okay. So I got the list said. So you cost of it, you only use all the that you still have. You use that raw materials to produce maybe say 50 bottles of your product, and you have only sold 30 pieces of your product in that month, right? So you only, when you are calculating your profit or loss, you only use the cost of those 30 pieces. Okay. So please, the previous slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So I used an example of, so let's say you bought 50 pieces of shoes and then you sold 20, and the cost per one shoe is 10K. So the cost of goods sold for that month will be 10,000 naira times the 20 shoes that you have sold. So that is 200,000 naira. Don't forget that we are using an example here, and then we've said that the total sales for that month of April is 600,000 naira. And from our calculation here, our cost of goods sold is 200,000 naira. So the next slide. So the next thing you want to calculate is your gross profit. So the gross profit is your profit after deducting your total sales from your cost of goods sold. So we already said that our total sales is 600,000 naira minus the cost of goods sold, which is 200,000 naira. So our gross profit is 400,000 naira. Okay, the gross profit is 400,000 naira. Now, this is not your main profit for the month, because there are still other expenses that you make that is called operating expenses. Please, the next slide. Other expenses are called operating expenses. So operating expenses is the expense you incur in running the day-to-day activity of your business. So that is where your rent comes in, the money you paid for salaries, electricity, depreciation expense too. I can just give like a brief explanation of depreciation expense. So depreciation expense is when you break down your assets depending on their lifespan, on how long it will take you to use those assets. So if I buy a machine, for example, that I'm using for my business, and I want to record the money that I use in buying that machine, which is an expense. If that machine cost me, for example, 200,000 naira, I'm not going to go to my book and record I bought machine 200K. No, because when you look at all these things, we are trying to break it down into monthly expenses. So that machine now, you are still going to use it for a very long period of time. You can use it for 5 years safe and nothing will happen to it. So we want to ensure that all those months, all the number of months in 5 years, they both suffer for that machine. So you divide the machine, the cost of that machine, into the number of years that you're going to use it for. Okay, so that's another kind of expense. Then you now record it monthly. So depreciation expense. So there are various, too many operating expenses depending on the kind of business that you run. That will determine the kind of operating expenses that you incur in your business, right? So another example. So all these things are operating expenses. So for you to get your net profit, which is the last thing we'll talk about, you are going to deduct your operating expenses from your gross profits. So from the beginning, we did total sales. We subtracted it from our we subtracted our total expenses, I mean cost of goods sold from our total sales to give us our gross profit. Now you're now going to subtract your total operating expenses from your gross profit to give you the net profit. So the net profit, this is what I refer to as the real profit of your business. So this is your real profit. To determine the net profit, you subtract your gross profit from your total operating expenses. So I gave an example that, let's say that our total operating expenses for April is 150k, right? So you are going to subtract 400k, which is your gross profit, minus 150k, which is the operating expenses, to give you 250,000. So 250,000 naira is the main profit you have for that month, right? That is the main profit you have for that month. Please, are there still slides? Okay, yeah, this is another thing I decided to add. Cash flow. Okay, so we need to understand cash flow too as business owners, right? So cash flow is the amount of money that flows in and out of the business. Cash flow is the total amount of money that flows in and out of the business. So as you make sales in a month, money is coming in, and as you're spending money, money is going out. Sometimes in a day sef, money can come in like up to 5 or 6 times, and in that same day money can still go out like 2 to 3 times or 4 times sef. All in one day, money will just be going in and coming out. So that is what we call cash flow. Money flowing in into the business and money flowing out of the business. It is good for every business owner to have a very good cash flow, a very high cash flow. And that's why some people always want customers to pay in bulk. You see some schools, they want parents to pay for 1 year for a whole section. It is very good for the school because the money will come in bulk, and then you'll be able to use it for things that are very important. So if you are the kind of a business that you need a lot of machines, customers paying you in bulk will be a very good thing, because you can now invest those money in buying those machines. So cash flow is something that is very, very good. It's good for a business to have a very high and positive cash flow. So cash flows into the business in form of sales, in form of loans, and also from your own personal money. That is when you input your own personal money into the business, right? And cash also flows out of the business in form of expenses, in form of purchases. So it helps you to understand how much you should have in your bank account or cash account at a given time. So if you keep track of your cash flow at a particular time, you should know that, okay, in the bank I should have this exact amount of money in my bank presently. To make all of these things easy, that is why I always discourage business owners from doing manual bookkeeping. It's better you use an accounting software, so that as you're just entering your sales and expenses into it, it's going to be generating all these reports for you automatically. Your cash flow, your profit or loss statement, and all of those stuff. But if you want to do it manually, I like to do all these section to those people who prefer manual bookkeeping, so that you understand. Even if you are using an accounting software, if you don't understand all these breakdowns, you will not know the kind of results the accounting software is supposed to be giving you. So when you go to your dashboard, you see cash flow, you'll be able to understand that, okay, it's trying to explain to me the amount of money that has left my business in this month and the amount of money that has come into my business in this month. Some accounting software will even add everything up for you together. All the money that has entered into your business from January, it will put it up together for you. So since January, I've made like 10 million naira. I did not know. In your account balance at the very moment, you might not even have more than 200k. But it just makes you understand that so money is really coming into my business like this. And then to show you the amount of money that has left, okay, from January to now, like 28 million has left your account. So that is the importance of cash flow. Please, is there any other slide? Sorry, I've really forgotten the slides. The next slide. I think this is the end. Okay. Just okay, you can go back. Thanks for listening. So I think that's the end of it, of everything that I have for you guys concerning bookkeeping, right? So okay. So I guess that's everything. Please, if you have any questions, you can start asking your questions now. I hope you understand everything that I explained. Please ask your questions. Please bombard me with questions. Oh, I like to explain. I love to help people. If you don't understand anything, yes. Okay, yes. I recommend Zoho books to people. I actually teach people how to use Zoho books, right? So I teach people how to use Zoho books. I have a course on that. Yes, the software is free. The Zoho books is free. Is there any free or moderate software? Yes, the Zoho books is free, though they have paid version of it. You can check it on Google, Zoho books. It's a cloud-based software, because when I want to recommend softwares to people, I like to recommend a cloud-based software, because when you put all these records into these apps, anything can happen to the app. It can crash, and once it crashes, you lose all your records, and that is not even good at all. Because like I said earlier, the importance of bookkeeping is for you to be able to go back and make decisions. Look at your number. I always tell people, let your number speak to you. Let your numbers speak to you. When you look at the trends, when you look at the numbers, you'll be able to see that, oh, this is working, this is not working. In May, I made so amount of money. What did I do differently? Did I do influencer marketing? Did I do Facebook ads? Right? What kind of marketing did I put in place in May that made me sell this much? Okay, what can I do in June to do better? You want to do more of what is working, right? So while you are doing more of what is working, and at the same time you're also testing other methods to see what can also complement what is working. So when you now lose record, if apps should crash tomorrow now and you lose all the records, so I always recommend a cloud-based software. So Zoho Books is a cloud-based software. It's an accounting software. It is very okay. I use it for my clients too, and I also teach people how to use it. If you like to get the course, you can let me know. Yeah, Zoho books, you can let me know. I broke it down from how to sign up to how to generate your profit or loss statements. I shared the some, how would I put, some charts that the software will be generating for you in the slides. Then another thing is that it also has an app, right? That's why that is this is how it makes bookkeeping so easy for me. It has an app. Aside from the fact that it is cloud based, that when I say cloud based, it means that you have to go to Google to do the work, to sign up, just the same way you sign up for Instagram. And then it's not as an app. So anytime I make a sale, even if I'm in the car, even if I'm in the bus, I'll just pick up my phone and then record the sale right from my phone. So it has an app that you can install on your phone too. It is a very good software though. So that's it. Number, okay, how do I calculate exact profits in cases where I reinvest revenue into the business? For example, I sell foodstuff, so I buy rice, yam, beans with 30K. After sales, I buy 15K worth of rice. This is cash flow. Faith. I believe this is cash flow. It is cash flow that will help you understand this, right? Because just like I said, sometimes, okay, especially if you are still managing your money, right? If you have like 30K now, you made sales, you made 45K, you have to quickly go back to the market again to buy goods worth of maybe like 40K. It is cash flow. So at the end of the month, if you have been recording it, okay, I spent 30K today, I made sales, you recorded it. At the end of the month, you will understand the total amount that you have made in sales and the total amount that you have spent. It will come together. I believe this is cash flow. It is not about um calculating the profit. It will be confusing for you, except only if you are writing. Even if you are writing it, it will get to a stage. We have so many things that we are thinking as business owners. So I always discourage manual bookkeeping, because most likely you will make mistake, and the thing will just start confusing you. So I believe it is cash flow flat. Number two, this 15K is from, okay, after a few sales, I bought 15K water. This 15K is from sales of rice, yam, and beans. And I bought more packaging materials and made stickers of 3K to package all food. So how do I know the exact profits made? Faith, please use an accounting software. You really need to get a hold of your cash flow. Please use an accounting software. The money is just going in and coming out, going in and coming out. It will just confuse you, right? So just please use an accounting software. You can send me a DM, and if you pay for my course, and if it's something that you can do on your own, you can go ahead. Just go to zohobooks.com. You can sign up. But well, it's usually not easy to understand how to use an accounting software, especially if you don't have the basic knowledge. But if it's something you feel you can do on your own, just use an accounting software. Faith, that's my advice. Elizabeth, also for the purchase and expense difference, let's take a poultry farm for example. I believe the day old boilers are a purchase, yes. However, will the feed for those birds be a purchase too? Feed, feed. When you are calculating the cost of when you are calculating the cost of selling your, do you sell the chicken, Elizabeth? Yes, you can do it on Google Sheets if you know how to use formulas and functions. Faith, if you know how to use formulas very well, you can use Google Sheets. I prefer Google Sheet, or don't use Excel. Sorry, I'm not trying to spoil anybody's business, but I'm not trying to I'm not trying to spoil anybody's business, but Excel is not a cloud-based spreadsheet. So that's why I always recommend Google Sheets. Google Sheets is cloud-based. For you to get a cloud-based spreadsheet, for you to get use Excel as cloud-based, you need to pay. There's a monthly fee that is attached to it, right? So I always recommend Excel, Google Sheets, because it is cloud-based. Okay, the boilers are sold after some weeks. So it means that when you are calculating the cost of one boiler, feed is an operating expense. Is an operating expense, Elizabeth. So it is not a purchase, it's an expense. Can you explain more about the difference between expenses and purchases, especially expenses costs? With the examples you gave, the expenses are also needed to give you more money for your business. Yes, the expenses are needed to give you more money, but you cannot sell those things to give you money. Like I said, you should view it as something that you can sell that will bring in money for the business. So that's why I said the feed is not that's why I said the feed is not a purchase, because she cannot sell those feed to bring in money for the business, right? So look at your purchases as something that you can still sell that will bring in money for the business. I don't know if you understand. Eyimofe. I like that name. What happens to people that have small, medium business and have to buy stuff regular? How do we separate purchase and expenses? E.g., I bake and sometimes I buy items for each cake payment I receive. For each I bake and sometimes I buy items for each cake payment I received. I don't really understand. Yes, only things sold directly are purchases. It's not easy. It's not easy using an accounting app. I used one recently, and at the end of the month, when I downloaded my sum, it was confusing. So, because my profit or loss was not the same amount. That's why I always say that you should let someone teach you. Let someone teach you how to use an accounting software. I was able to learn how to use all books because I used it for people. So I got real life scenarios and real life situations, right? So use an if you want to use an accounting software, let someone teach you. And I guess Trift mentioned it just now that they are going to be sharing Google Sheets templates to people, right? So yeah, she mentioned we have Google Sheets template that will be shared. However, like she said, using accounting software is the best. It's better than Google Sheets templates. But if Google Sheet template is what you can use now, Google Sheet templates is not even better than manual. Because when you are using the Google Sheets template, you would have put in some numbers, have been put in some calculations, some formulas. So it might be possible for it to start helping you to calculate your total sales automatically and then your total expenses, right? So an accounting software is not easy to use. It's not easy to use. It's only if you find someone that can hold your hands through it and teach you how to use it, right? So I think Jane Pat, I did not understand your question. Please rephrase. Please rephrase. You said that you bake and sometimes I buy items for each cake payment I received. Are you trying to say that when you bake, after you have collected money, you are going you buy things again, Abi? I don't understand. What happens to people that have small medium business and have to buy stuff regular, purchase and expense? Jane Pat, I'm waiting for your question. If you still want me to answer it, please rephrase. Then I want to ask, is there anybody here who is into buying and selling? Is there anybody here who is into buying and selling so that I can take you guys? Okay. So that I can take you guys pricing, how to fix the proper price for your products. Okay, Prince, what do you sell? Okay, you're into buying and selling. Let me see if my okay, you have the same Gem part is the same issue with what Faith explained. It's the same thing. So what you need to understand is your cash flow. What you need to understand is your cash flow. Faith, I mean Gem part. Okay. Please give me a minute. I guess the battery on my laptop should be enough to do the pricing. It's the same thing though, both service and product. You benefit from the pricing class. It's the same model. The same things you need to put together when you are trying to fix your price for services is also the same thing you need for your products. Okay, I'm trying to connect my laptop so that I can do a practical example. Just explaining it with my mouth will not be enough. Let me see. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Okay, thank you. He said the guy that said he sells Gary. Is he still on the call? Prince, I think his name is Prince. So I'm going to be using his business as an example to show you how to fix the correct prices for your products. Right? So when you are fixing the prices for your product, the first thing you need is your direct expenses. You need your direct expenses, you need your indirect expenses, you need your assets. You're going to be adding your assets to the prices of your product. Are also going to be adding your profit margin. Okay. So we are going to be using Pris's business as example. I'm going to be entering his direct expenses. He said he sells Gary. So the amount of money he spends in buying his Gary, his indirect expenses like his transportation cost, his salary, if he spends money on rent, if he has a shop, we'll put everything together and then we'll see how it works. And then if he also has assets, maybe table, bowl, and the likes. Then I saw a misconception. I think you guys are confusing the purchases and expenses thing. I don't know. I see some people say, okay, purchases are not your assets. I think I should explain that again. Purchases are not your assets. They are different from each other. I said purchases are those things that you buy that you use you can resell them again. When you sell bag, you go to the market to buy bags. You are going to resell that bags to bring in money for you, right? That is purchases. Those things that you still sell, but in terms of someone that is not into buying and selling, is your raw materials that you are going to be using as your own purchases. Your raw materials will be your own purchases. So for example, the person that says she makes cake, when you buy your flour, your butter, your sugar, those things are your purchases. Purchases is not your assets. I said that when you want to calculate your assets, you do depreciation as expenses for those ones separately. So please don't mix them up. Purchases are those things that you're going to sell, those things that you're still going to resell. So if you sell shoe, go to the market to restock, those are purchases. When you are restocking, those are purchases. I hope it is clear now. So is that guy still on call? Prince, I want to manage my laptop's battery. Or is there any other person here that is into buying and selling? I want to use buying and selling because it is easier, it is faster. But production, Okay. Oh yeah, Prince. So how much you say you sell Gary? Let's make it snappy. You sell Gary. I want to make the font big. So we have direct costs. So now if you are trying to cost your Gary, you mention how much do you buy a bag of Gary? Tell me in the chat, how much do you buy a bag of Gary? Or how do you sell it? How much do you buy the Gary? How do you sell it? 40K. So do you sell per Adrika, or how do you sell it? Like how many do you bring out from that 40K, from that one bag of Gary, when you split it, the way you sell? Yes, 40K a bag. Now out of that 40K a bag, how many do you have grams? Do you have like 100 gram, 250 gram? If it's 250 gram, how many 250 gram do you bring out from a bag? Okay, let's use the basins. Okay, so now let's base our calculation on basins. How do you sell a basin? So one basin of Gary will be 40,000 divided by 7. Okay, so one basin is 5,714 points. Let me reduce the decimal. 0.3, right? Now you don't use words for now. You don't use the basins, and let's just use it as an example, just for you to understand, right? So if it is cup too, how many cups will you find in a bag? If it is custard, how many custard of how many custard paint and custard paint do you find in one bag? So for basins, 7 basins in one bag. So one basin is 5,714, right? Now that is direct cost. Any other cost, when you go to the market to buy those Gary, is there any other cost that is associated to the cost of purchase? Every other person that is listening should listen carefully. Aside from the cost of buying this Gary, we are going to add any other cost that is associated to the cost of purchase. So when you go to the market to buy your bag, what other cost do you incur? Transportation cost. If it is delivery, probably they deliver your what is it to you, whatever. So these bags that you use in packaging, so all those direct expenses, you put them together. Okay, everything is 40K, you have put it together. Transportation, good. Now he said he has put everything together. So if you want to calculate your cost of purchase, you ensure that you add cost of production to it. Cost of transportation. Now aside from these normal costs, there are also some costs that are direct. You see your direct expenses as expenses that are directly related to the purchase of your product. That is your direct expense. So there are some expenses like your packaging materials. You know that when you are selling your cake, for example, you use one nylon to tie the cake. There's one thing like this that you place the cake on it, that you give everything together to the customer. All those are direct expenses. Direct expenses that you cannot sell that your product without that thing. So all of you that have packaging materials, you have all these bags, yeah, you buy box, there's one satin you put inside the box, then you now sprinkle some things, so everything that you know that when you are selling that bag, it goes along with it. They are all your direct expenses. So if you want to collect curry garri, aside from the cost of purchase, if he will use nylon to sell it, am I right, Prince? You will use nylon to sell it. Now how much is one cost of nylon? Let's say one cost of nylon is maybe like 100 naira, for example. Sorry, I want to add the naira sign. So you are going to add everything. So you add nylon, I've put nylon as 100 naira. That products leaving your store. He said 600 naira for big and small. Is it 600 naira for one? Prince, is it 600 naira for one? So while I wait for your answer, so aside from all of this, your direct costs of purchase, direct cost for your garri is plus the nylon. So which is 5,000, one big and one small, 200 naira for small, 400 naira for big. Okay, so let's say that this one basin, I'm assuming that this basin is very much, right? Let's say that you use one big nylon to sell this basin, so that's 400 naira. Now your total cost for and for, please, do you understand the direct cost? So for that lady that is asking for feed, your poultry feed, when you are calculating your direct cost, it will go under your direct cost. This kind of expenses will later go inside your cost of production. He says he sells garri and one basin is 5,714 because we have seven. We divided 40,000 by 7. Or are you still confused? Please, is this section being recorded? I want to know because my battery is low so that I can quickly go through it. Then they can watch the replay. Okay, let me just go on. So when they watch the replay, they can get it. So as I was saying, the direct cost of garri for one basin now is 6,114. So we are going to go to your indirect costs. What are your indirect costs? Let's say you as a business owner, you take salary for yourself. Do you pay rent? Chris, do you pay rent? Do you pay electricity? Still there, do you pay rent? Do you pay electricity? Salary. You are supposed to take salary for yourself. Okay, please tell me, how much do you pay as rent? How much do you pay as electricity? Your operating costs, tell me. Security, good. Electricity, write the cost in front of it. If you like, if you write electricity now, electricity, how much is electricity and for how long? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 months? Rent is 6K per month. Okay, how much is electricity? 6,000 naira. How much is security? Electricity. Marketing, do you pay for marketing? One to 2K per month. Electricity varies. Let's say the highest. If you have any expenses that varies, use the highest. Okay, use the highest. So for others too, if you have any expenses that varies, use the highest. So I'm going to use 2K for electricity. How about security? 1K security. Okay, do you take salary? If you don't, you should take salary for yourself. So let's just assume that you take 20,000 naira as salary for yourself. So you're not going to add your total indirect expenses together. So like I said, your indirect expenses is also your operating expense, the money that you spend in running your business, right? So the total indirect expenses is all of this together, right? 29,000. Now you are going to estimated sales per month. So how many bags of garri or how many basins of garri do you sell in a month? So let's say that for this basin you sell up to like maybe say 50 basins in a month, right? So your indirect cost per product will be your total expenses divided by the number of products you are able to sell. So this is 580 naira, right? So if you sell more than that, more than 50, okay, you sell 10 to 20 bags in a month. So if you sell up to 20 bags in a month, it means that what do we do? You say you can't see the sheet clearly. Did you see it in the full screen mode? Do you see it very clearly now? No, I think it's because it's in it's I did. Okay, should I return it to the full screen? Let me do full screen. Can you see it now? Okay, okay. So it depends on the number of sales that you are able to make in a month. um I've increased the quality of the video now, so hopefully you'll be able to see it. Then when I put it in full screen, I'm unable to edit it. I'm unable to edit it, so I think we'll just manage it for now. Okay. So as I was saying, if you are able to sell up to 50 in a month, that is 50 basins in a month, you now divide it by your total expenses, your total indirect expenses. So whatever you get is your indirect cost per product. So you add it to 580 to the direct cost. Now your total cost plus your direct costs plus your indirect cost will give you the total cost. So the direct cost plus indirect cost is your total. So the cost of one basin is 6,694 naira. So aside from this, you're now going to add your profit margin. So profit margin varies. Profit margin usually depends on the kind of brand you are building or the kind of product that you want to sell. So if you are selling the same product as let's say Mr. A and B, Mr. A might want to sell a product that is cheap, that everybody can buy easily. So because of that, it's going to put a very low profit margin on his product. But Mr. B might want to do a premium brand. And because of that, his profit margin will be higher, right? So profit margin usually depend on you as a business owner, what you want for your brand. So if Peace want to be selling premium garri now, and this one basil, he has given it a lot of packaging and he wants to sell only to premium people, he can do as high as 50% profit margin per product. So the idea behind profit margin is it depends on you as a business owner, and you can tweak it. You can do 10%. Let's do 10% profit margin and see how it works. 10% of our total cost. You do 10%. The percentage you are doing is of your total cost though. So 669 naira will be his profit margin if he's using direct cost. I mean if he's using 10%. You can increase it to 20%. That's 1,003. Well, 1,003 is okay. At least I've already removed all this, my electricity, I've removed rent, I've removed salary, and I still have like 1,300 as profit per paint, per basil. So your price that you sell will be your total cost plus your profit margin. So it's going to be selling one basil of garri as 8,033 naira. Okay. So the one concept I really want you to understand is that, which is very important, the higher you sell, the lower your indirect cost. You should already know from from this calculation that we have done. At the higher you sell, the lower your profit margin. So if Peace is selling up to 100 basil in a month, you can see that our indirect cost has reduced to 290 naira from 580 naira, right? So when you now reduce this to 290 naira, your total cost will reduce. But the trick I used to give my clients, because all these things that I'm telling you, I did for one-on-one, is 20K that I charge, right? So what I used to tell my clients is that after they have calculated, they have maybe they sold more in that month and their indirect cost reduces, Now, instead of them to now decrease their price, you can see that this price of garri has reduced from 8,000 something to 7,000 something. Instead of them to reduce their price, they can still sell at that 8,000 something, but they should just come and increase their profit margin. So that way your profit will be increasing while you are still selling at the same price. If you see that 30% is too high, maybe because it has increased your price too high, you can reduce to 25 until you strike a balance. Now we can see that 25 is still okay. So your profit will increase, but you will still be selling your products at the same price, right? So the more you sell, that's why I tell business that it's not just for you to be looking for more sales. Ensure that your expenses is inside your cost first. Put your profit margin. If you do this calculation, once you are increasing your price, just be increasing once you are selling more, the more you are selling, even if you add marketing budget, you increase your marketing budget. People that have worked for, sometimes their marketing budget might be like 50K in a month. They will come back to me and say, note and sheet, I'm already selling, instead of 100 pieces that we talked about before, I'm already selling up to 200 though, but I've increased my marketing budget from 50K to 100K. So we come inside the template again. I would increase the marketing budget to 100K, but because this client is selling more, it will not even show. It will not show. So when you are looking for more sales, you know why you are looking for more sales, right? Another thing that should be inside your pricing is your depreciation expense. So let's assume that piece has table. Let's say he has table. Let's say he has chair. I don't want to be waiting because my battery, I'm really managing my battery. Let's say he has table in his store, he has chair in his store. You put the total cost of purchase for that table, cost of purchase for that table, right? So let's say that this table, he bought the table 40K. Now you are going to estimate the number of years that these assets will use for your business. So let's say that number of years is also the same thing as useful lifespan. Useful lifespan. Okay, so let's say that this table will last the business for 5 years in good condition, right? And this chair will last the business for 4 years in good condition. You are now going to calculate the number of months. How many months do we have in 5 years? We have 60 months. And in 4 years, 12 times 4, I think that's like 48 months. Now, the depreciation for this table is your total cost of purchase divided by the number of months. I mentioned this when I was talking about depreciation expense, when we were discussing bookkeeping, right? So for every month, is supposed to be deducting 666 naira for cost of table, and this chair is supposed to be deducting 208 naira for cost of table, for cost of chair. So you are going to add all your depreciation expenses together. Add everything together. Remember, I'm just doing an example. When you are doing your own, sit down and do it properly. So this total depreciation 875 naira. So you are going to come here to add the depreciation expense. Do your cost. Don't forget, when you are doing your direct cost, add your packaging materials to your direct cost because they will go with the product. And like I said, that person that was asking for feed, Your feed will be part of your direct costs. I don't think it should be under operating expenses, neither is it a purchases. When you are calculating your cost for one chicken, everything that will go for that one chicken to come into place, which I believe that if you don't feed that chicken, the chicken will not, you will not be able to sell it, right? So your feed will be part of your cost of the cost of bringing that chicken to life. Anything that is your direct cost, anything that will bring you, without those expenses, your without those expenses, that product you cannot sell it. So packaging also come under direct expenses, it also come under direct cost. So this cost will go under your cost of production, right? So if this person now, this piece, if he wants to calculate his profit for the month, after he has calculated the total number of sales he made for that month, the cost of one basil, okay, this month, oh, I sold 100 basil, cost of one basil is total cost 6,413, right? So 6,413, which is the total cost, times 100. My battery is low, my laptop will go off at any time, but let me quickly explain. Total sales is 6,413 times 100 pieces that is sold, right? So that will be giving your total sales. Now if you want to put your cost of production, you are going to use your direct costs. Your direct cost is your cost of production, so which is 5,114 times 100, the number of pieces that is sold, right? So it's now going to get the what's it called, the gross profit. So now it's not going to deduct all these expenses, salary, rent, electricity and everything from the gross profit, for him to now get the net profit. So if you do all of this calculation very well, this your profit is what will now add up as your profit for the month. But if you don't put all of these things into your calculation, you'll be running at a loss. And that is why it will just seem as if you are making sales, but you cannot find your business money. I don't know what is happening. I will make a lot of money. At the end of the month, I can't find all this money again. This is what is happening because you are not putting especially these operating expenses, you don't put it into the pricing of your products. Now you are taking it out of the business. You did not put it there in the first place, oh, but you are spending from that business money to make these expenses. You find it hard to even spend on yourself as a business owner. Do we understand now? Now this depreciation expenses too, it will be there, but when it is time for you to buy another table, it will be easy for you to buy another table. Why? Because you have been deducting that amount already. So for those of you that have assets like machines, now when that machine break down, you now start having problem. How do I buy another machine? You now start looking for money. Some of you will be doing Triift so that you can buy another machine. Okay, thank God it has been clarified. So you now be looking for money to buy another machine, you're not going to be putting your own personal money or asking people to borrow you money. But if you have broken down this your depreciation expenses like this and putting it into your price, when it is time for you to buy another one, it will be easy. That's why you see business owners opening new stores, because the cost of rent, they've already put it inside their costs. So when it's time for them to get another location, it will be easy for them. Do you understand? I want to shut down my laptop now and come to my phone so that if you have any questions, I can address them from my phone. Do you understand? Okay, so I'm going off now so that I can join with my, I don't know if I can join with both phone and laptop at the same time. Okay, so I'm on my phone now. Let me put this one off. I can hear my Okay, sorry, I didn't know I was already muted. Any questions? Do we understand the pricing? If you don't understand now, you might need to go back and rewatch it from the beginning. Just take it step by step. Break down your direct expenses, break down your indirect expenses, right? Don't forget your depreciation, your indirect expenses, your um rent and the likes. Break it down. If you want to break down your indirect expenses, you would need to use you need to estimate a number of sales that you can make in a month, right? Like in a month, oh, how many bags do I sell? Okay. Okay, so any questions? Operating cost and discounting factor. Discount. I've explained operating cost before. Okay. Can Zoho work for my Gary business? Yes, it should. It should. But the thing is, when you want to enter your product inside it, you will need to break it down as per how you sell. Yes, you can. You can use it for your Gary product. You can use it for your Gary business. All you need to do is just break it down. So you write, if you want to list your products inside it, you list how will I put it? One bag. If you sell bags, you list one bag, then you list one paint, one cup, so that when the customer buys a cup, you can just pick that he bought one cup, he bought two cups, he bought three cups. Or if the customer bought one custard, you can pick it. This customer bought one custard paint or two custard paints. You understand? So that's how it works. Yes, you can use it for your Gary business. Any more questions? But price goes up and down in 1 month. What do you do in that case? You can just be in the middle, or you account for when you want to fix your price. You just account for changes in case there is an increase. For example, now within 1 month, if the price of bag fluctuates between 40k to 45k, you can just put it in the middle, maybe like 43k. So when it is at 40k, you are still using 43k, which is an advantage to you. And when it's as 45k, you can sleep it as 43k. Why? Because when it has 40k, you are sold at 43k. So that those excesses will cover up for you. Do you understand, Prince? That okay, so just stay in the middle, Prince. Stay in the middle, right? So you've been in the business now, so you understand. You will have an idea of how high or how low the prices can go, right? So you know that last, they go down past this price. So just be in the middle. So if you're in the middle, when it goes below the price the cost that you use is an advantage. And then when it goes higher than that price, it's still a bit of an advantage for you, because when it was lower, you are new. Well, with time you would know how to balance these things up. And what if you have a template, like the template I just created now? When I create it for my clients, I share it with them. So the advantage is that when there's any changes, they can just go into the template. So if the price has gone up, you can just go there and change the cost of we divided it now. 40,000 divided by 7 for one basil. So you can just go there and change this, that it has decreased to 30k. So you know how much to sell, right? And then when the price go up again, you can go there to change. So if you have written it inside a book, for example, if you have written it inside a book, just go up to where you wrote the cost of one bag, change it, then just change the calculation like that, till you get to the price that you will sell your products. And then when it goes up again, you go back again and change it, since that's the nature of your business. Yes. So you can just stay in the middle too. Some people just stay in the middle. So I've given you two methods. You either always go back to calculate it again, or you stay in the middle. Just be on an average. Any other question? You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad that I'm able to do this.
Okay. survey link that will be shared on the WhatsApp. Kindly fill it as soon as possible. The link will be shared shortly. And yes, so that will be all for now. See you in the next class. So the class will not be holding tomorrow. The one for tomorrow has been taken today already. So the class will not hold tomorrow till next Saturday. Bye bye.